All right. Okay, I'm live. Hello, and welcome to Court of the Rings here on twitch.tv/Lotro stream, youtube.com/Lord of the Rings/live, and facebook.com/Lotro. I am Lotro's community manager /flautist Cordovan. Yes, I am unmuted today. I'm not only unmuted, but I got a musical instrument with me. What? What's the dealio? Okay, so on Saturday's live stream for Extra Life, I said that if we hit our goal of, at that time, I guess it was, 7,000? That I would play my flute, a piece of Lotro music, live on this live stream here today. And of course, you guys and gals being the generous folks you are who want to see me embarrass myself live, quickly donated the money to do that. So, without further ado, I am going to play a little piece of music for you. I think you'll recognize this one. Oops. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have officially done it. I actually only was able to practice that for about 24 hours or so before it went live, so little on the rough side, but hey, it turned out okay, I guess. So, a couple of minor mistakes. I actually do play the flute. I'm a little out of practice. I used to play it quite a bit more than I do nowadays. But I do. I actually have some Lord of the Rings movie music that's on my way to me sheet music-wise, so perhaps at some point around Christmas or something like that I'll crack that sucker open again. Bass next. Yeah, I do play the bass guitar as well. Alright. Yeah, never say oops, you're right, Blossomberry. Never let them know you made a mistake. But in that case, I fumbled, so it was pretty clear. How do you get this ring banner? Oh, that ring banner there? They were made for Gamescom. I guess it was maybe 2013, 2014. And the reality is we don't really have any of them left. We have like literally one or two of them. And they're being saved in the office for celebrity/dignitaries at that. I did give some out at Gen Con this year, though. So, sorry if you missed that. But that's about it. We can't just give them out otherwise. Although I bet we could sell them if people wanted to, because they're pretty rad. So. Alright. That's true. I did give a few of them away to like live streamers and things like that as well. When we transitioned to SSG, I found a stash of them. For a long time, we thought we were completely gone of them. And then, oh, I don't know, like I said, a couple months into clearing out some closets during the transition, I found a box of them. And so I gave a bunch to, say, streamers, some members of the team, people of importance, VIPs, that sort of thing. And then I brought the last of the ones I could give out with me to Gen Con this year. And like I say, we literally have like 1 or 2 left. And so that's all there is to that. Sorry. When is High Elf coming to the Lotro store? It's set to, at the very latest, according, I believe, to our legally binding copy, set to be with update 22, but I think it'll be earlier than that. And I can't confirm any date, because that's really up to a marketing plan and e-commerce and all the rest. But, look at the calendar. You can make some pretty educated guesses. Alright, best thing you ever did, buy a lifetime sub, Lewis, over on Facebook? Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Okay. There needs to be Middle-earth Con? I agree. I agree. Frankly, I think, maybe I'm wrong, I think we could have a nice little side business selling Lotro swag. I think we could. I bet there's at least a couple thousand of you who'd buy a t-shirt, and a couple thousand of you who might buy things like banners. I would. War Pigs? Nice. I could also do Charlie Brown Christmas. Maybe I'll bring that in for Christmas. Back when I was a little more in practice and all that sort of thing, I used to do weddings and what have you as well. I was in a band back in the college days, high school, post-college. I was in a kind of a hippie music band. And played a lot of flute in that, along with bass guitar. And then I was in kind of a jazz, post-rock, fusion kind of thing. Oh my gosh, you guys are sending me so much stuff. Pretzel! Nice. Yep, canon in D. You can't be a flute player and not know Pachelbel's canon. Same with air on a air string in G or whatever that is. It's another one that you just pretty much always, it's required, I think. Alright. Do one of the loot boxes things like companies are doing. Yeah, like a Lotro monthly subscription box. I don't know, I just think it would be nice to just get started with like a... Okay, here would be my plan. We'd have to contract through someone else because we don't want to do physical product mailing and all that in the office here. That would just kind of be unrealistic. So we contract through, one of the Zazzle Cafe Press, blah-de-blahs, Think Geeks, whatever, there's a whole bunch of them out there, right? Slap the Lotro logo on a t-shirt, let you put it on t-shirts, tote bags, all the rest. Wouldn't necessarily be a big profit thing, but it would be a nice community gesture. Wouldn't be too cheap, because when you go through one of those sites, it kind of jacks up the price, but still. I'm really excited to see some developer posts on the PvMP forums. Any idea when we'll get around to testing some things on Bullroar? Probably not anytime too soon. I think there are really 2 potential targets for Vastin's PvMP thread. Depending on the scope of the work, some stuff theoretically could get in for 21.3, although it really depends on what his other tasks are in the coming weeks. A more likely goal would be update 22. But again, it's ultimately, you know, up to the same kind of time priority crunch everything else is. But, you know, he has created a PvMP thread that we're really looking to get some quantitative and good feedback on really kind of a fast pass for PvMP to see what we can do there. How full is my PM folder? Oh man, it's nuts. I have not had time because of a thing going on in DDO this week. We launched their XSpec presale. It's like 1,000 PMs, literally like 1,000 PMs. I'm gonna probably spend, I'm thinking Friday night just kind of going through all the PMs and going one after the other, see if I can at least tackle a few hundred of them a night. So. Alright. When is update 22? No release date announced on that, sorry. What do I have for my... Why am I not seeing my voice push to talk? What do I have set for push to talk?
Good afternoon, Jerry.
I have hands-free voice, that's why. Okay.
Yes, you do.
I'll just leave it at that then. Yep. Da-dum-dum-dum. The Vampire Hunter outfits for Lotro that just got announced for DDO. Heck yeah. Alright, let's do the unmarked trail this time. This was actually picking up from our live stream on Saturday. We kind of had to call it early because we just ran out of time, and this is going to take a little too long. But if you're able to do it, Azerbel, Druid's Fire, I would appreciate a little bit of help here.
And boy, will you need it.
Yep. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can't really get into DDO talk on the Lotro side. Now, that particular question was, can we have that DDO thing in Lotro? But otherwise, I can't really answer DDO questions on Lotro, and I don't answer Lotro questions on DDO. And the reason for that is I don't want people to feel like they have to pay attention to a live stream of a game they're not interested in order to get the information. You know, since I do speak officially, basically officially, well, actually officially, on behalf of the company here, I don't want people feeling like in order to get DDO information they have to watch Lotro streams, etc., and vice versa. So I kind of have to do a hard no other game questions on my live streams. Or my personal channel as well. I don't stream a whole lot on my personal channel, but when I do, I can't talk or play, frankly, DDO or Lotro on either of those. And that's just kind of basic. Trying to be respectful of people's time and energy.
Yes, sure was not tank Jerry, please remember that.
Let me turn you up just a little bit, Druid's Fire. A little quiet.
I've never been accused of that before.
I think it's just because I have the other settings a little loud. Maybe I can turn that down a little. Alright. More approaching from the west. Be ready. I do stream on my personal channel, not much, because, you know, it ends up sometimes feeling a little bit too much like work, which is strange, but it kind of does. So I tend to not stream a whole lot, but when I do, it's neither DDO nor Lotro. It's like, I'm also a big console gamer and stuff. I've been playing, you know, video games of all kinds for a long time. And so that channel was really the place for me to break out the PlayStation 4, 3, Atari, things like that, you know, classic gaming. And then PC gaming that is pretty far removed from anything MMO related, so like adventure games and things like that. I don't really want to promote it too much, but because like I say, it's kind of super slack. But it is there if you want to find it. It's under Mockduck. No, I actually, for as obsessed as I am with the Atari, and I am very obsessed with the Atari, I never owned an Atari Jaguar. I was too broke. I was in... Okay, this dates me. I was in college when the Atari Jaguar came out.
Get off my lawn, Jerry.
I know. And I remember going... This was in the Twin Cities, in a place called Dinkytown, if you know what that is. If you're a Bob Dylan fan, you might be familiar with it. But anyway, there was a game store there, and I walked into the game store because I had a Super Nintendo at the time, and I was looking to pick up something dirt cheap because, again, broke college kid. And the guy tried to upsell me on a Jaguar, and he was just like, "This is the future of video gaming. Look at this controller, look at these graphics." And I was like, "Well, how much is it?" And I can't remember what it was at the time, but it was something like $300, $350 or something like that. It was fairly expensive for a console at the time. And I was like, "Well, that's cool. I can't afford it." And that was actually a pretty smart decision, because it wasn't much for the Jaguar. But yes, I am an Atari 2600 VCS obsessive. I don't know if you know that, but if you don't, I have a goal to collect every game that I can collect, at least on the raw cart side. I'm not going for like pristine box on it all, because that's just too much work. Every game released for the 2600. In total, there is something around 420 to 440, depending on, to 470, kind of, depending on how you want to count it, in terms of variations and cart variations and what have you. And I'm currently at about 270 some out of 440, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, although it's a lot of carts. But in reality, that's a pretty solid Atari collection, because when you get to the final couple hundred of them, you get into some exceptionally rare things. You know, the Atari was really the Wild West of video games, even more so than, say, Steam and things like that nowadays. Where you, because nobody really, I mean, they were laying the rules for video games, right? Nobody really knew what worked and what didn't, and how to do things. So you'd have things like cereal companies release Atari games, and Chuckwagon Dog Biscuits release Atari games. You had magazines like Sports Illustrated and Playboy and things like that release Atari games. And so, in hindsight, trying to find all those loose carts and kind of one-offs and short, you know, runs of 100 or a couple hundred of a game and all that sort of thing gets particularly tricky and expensive. I'm down to pretty much everything, with a few exceptions. I'm pretty much down to everything Rarity 5 and up on Atari Age, if you know what that is. And I do have some 5, 7, 8s, and even a 9. I have a Apollo Guardian cart that's a Rarity 9. I am like, I'm not quite 45, I'm 43. Well, the Jaguar was released in, I went to college in 93, and that was my freshman year of college.
A long time ago.
Yep. Yeah.
As a fun fact, the entire Atari 2600 catalog can be saved to files of 274K.
I know, right? Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Because I have that archive somewhere on one of these archives I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, people like to make fun of the Atari graphics, and, you know, sometimes for good reason, but if you think about the fact that you open up a notepad, type in a couple of sentences, and save it, and you're looking at like a 4K file, that was the entire size of some of those early Atari games. They ended up going up to about 8, or even, in a couple cases, 16K by the end, but 4K was pretty average. 4 kilobytes for everything. Sound, graphics, you name it. Although they had an integrated sound chip, so, you know, but... Oh yeah, Jaguar 95, so it would have been a junior, well, yeah. Depending on when, I guess it would have been a sophomore. But this is not the Atari 2600 cast, although if you do want to get me talking about Atari, just mention it, and I will talk your ear off. So.
Yes, he will.
Yep. Is there a way to remove something once you have added to the filter? Yes. You can basically open up the filter with Alt-R, and I don't have anything filtered right now, but you'll take the mouse, you'll pick it up, you know, hold down left mouse button and drag it off the filter panel, and that'll remove it from the filter panel. Lotro for the Atari. I like it. Smog is like the dragon duck from Adventure.
When are we getting ducks as pets in game, Jerry?
When I win the lottery? And make someone do it? Vercordia says, since Vastin wants to do some PvMP balance checks, did he not think it would be a good idea to do PvE balance checks first? The answer to that is we are trying to do both, but ultimately the point of that PvMP balance work is to find areas where it does not overlap with PvE and work on that stuff quickly. You know, I've said on recent live streams that our current schedule for PvMP is pretty light in 2018. But we know that we have a very significant balance issue right now. And we want to take care of that in a way that we can actually manage and do. So the intention is to get that work done as soon as we can, so that hopefully we find a place of general balance for PvMP in 2018, and then be able to focus on things like PvE and content and all the other stuff that we're doing in 2018. Serval, I will need to follow up as to whether or not it is intended that the aria of the Valar does not give promotion points, I assume you mean trait points, for big battles. I'm not sure about that. My understanding is it is supposed to basically provide the class trait points based on feedback, but I would need to check about whether that should also include the stuff you get from big battles. Thurls, how do we judge how well the mortar crafting update was received? Well, I mean, we have various metrics, how many people are using it. You know, how many people are using it now that weren't using it before. What's the feedback in our community on it? You know, Facebook, Twitter, forums. To some extent, you know, that we have monetization hooks in it. Are people taking advantage of that? Things like that. It's usually rarely a straight answer. It's usually more of a mix of feedback that determines things. Will the environment...
I think Legolas also needs to remember he's not a tank.
Not. Will the environment ever be improved upon, more towards high-end hardware side? So, no. I mean, yes and no. We always improve. We do improve our environment over time. I think you can see that in game. But are we going to basically burn down Lotro and suddenly rebuild it into a 2017 version of Lotro 2? The answer is no. There's that old YouTube, well, it's not from YouTube, but it's often associated with that, like game design school. Like, can you tighten the graphics on level 7? It's not how it works. It's taken us 10 years to do this. If we were to redo all the environment for the entire game, that would probably take another 10 years. Thor has a suggestion that we should be able to turn dark and empowered dark essences into Ashes of Gorgoroth. My understanding is the Ashes of Gorgoroth are deliberately intended to be the items rather than, say, crafting ingredients, with a few exceptions. So I would say, you know, theoretically anything is possible, but I don't think that really fits with the design intention of the Ashes of Gorgoroth. It's definitely possible in the future that we could see more of Mirkwood or Thranduil's halls. Aelinmir wants to know if we'll ever see the inside of Thranduil's halls. You know, anything's possible. We haven't yet announced our plans for Update 22, but hopefully we'll be doing that in the relatively near future. Yeah, I can pass that along through Thurlus about why we do not have metal shield recipes, or shield recipes for metal smiths. Updated. How many years can we enjoy Lotro? You can enjoy Lotro for all the years. Lotro will be around until the sun dies. I can't remember when sun death is supposed to be.
Or until at least Corey gets done with his class that does Tuesday night.
Yep. Either the death of the sun or until we go out of business, whichever. Or it doesn't make sense anymore.
May it be the former.
Yep. The sun dies in 5 billion years. Well, by that point, we should have update 230 out. No, I don't know. Yep. No, but to seriously answer your question, though, we are not... We no longer talk about our license structure with various licensors. Most game companies don't. For some reason, there was a decision made years ago to break that thing. It was proven to be a terrible idea. And it's really a non-issue. Yeah. So we're not doing it. Is it possible to make class-specific changes to Freep classes that only apply in PvMP? Theoretically possible, but I get what you're saying. Ultimately, generally, it's a matter of balance both for PvMP and PvE. However, particularly with our short-term PvMP work, it is more likely we're going to be looking at the creep side than the Freep side in the short term here. So, to address your concern that perhaps we need to tackle both a complete rebalance of PvE along with PvMP, ideally that would be the case, but realistically it isn't. And so what we're going to be doing is really making targeted changes to hopefully address Freeps, address Bestial Claws, and do some of the things that frankly were brought up in that thread, and I'm not going to get into that thread now, but you can look it up. Vastin, was it last week or the week before? Started a quick PvMP pass thread where it's really like, alright, let's start from ground zero here. Yes, we know you've given us a lot of feedback over the years, but let's start with zero feedback in this thread for now. Let me know what we can do short term to, to try to make things better here. And we're also trying to keep a real... I'm being a little... restrictive on the thread, which I understand is perhaps a little frustrating, because some people want to vent about the state of PvMP. But specifically with this thread, we're really targeting direct, actionable feedback. So if you try to get into like side conversations about why PvMP sucks or whatever, we're just going to delete those posts in that specific thread. You're welcome to post it elsewhere. I have not heard of any plans to Lyrian 1003 to change the Stone of the Tortoise so it levels with the wearer, similar to the Shield of the Hammerhand. I don't know when the new PvMP pass is going to be on Bullroar. One possible target would be 21.3, another possible target is 22. It really just comes down to what what our schedule ends up being in the coming weeks here. We're working to get, the raid out. Vastin has got, frankly, a ton of work on his plate, and he is trying to carve out time for PvMP as well. But in terms of which gets, things are released when they're done, checked, what have you. And it's just too early to really commit to a time frame on it at this point. Yes, I mean, I have nothing new to pass along in the 64-bit client other than to say it is still being worked on. Would reducing graphic settings to medium mitigate client crashing in Minas Tirith? To some extent, yes. Depends on the state of your computer and, like, your render distance, things like that. There is the reality as well that some of Minas Tirith's problems is really a game engine problem. And so hopefully the 64-bit client will have some impact on that. in particular, for Minas Tirith, my understanding is the best thing you can do if you're struggling in there is, other than to turn off like bloom effects and things like that, is to cut down your draw distance, because it's really loading up all the long draw distance across land blocks and stuff that's causing problems there. Alright, what is Legolas saying? He's saying the Nazgul vanished from my view, but he did not immediately depart. Legend tells that one of the ring race was an Easterling king who had great skill in tracking and stealth. Only the dread that lay heavily upon my heart told of his presence. That now is gone, but the memory is black. It is good that you defeat Shak, for the Nazgul had given him some power with which to rally the wood trolls in great numbers. They might have threatened Imladris himself. Individually, they are much less of a threat. We should return, Twinstroll. The Gladolf grows cold and sad. Aww.
How can I
sad Gladolf.
Legolas pursued the Nazgul and hindered his plans to ally with the wood trolls. But the ring wraith escaped. The Nazgul must be found, for he is certainly aware that the One Ring has entered Rivendell, though it is hoped that Elrond's vigil keeps him blind to the secret ways. As long as one of the nine remains abroad, we cannot hope to leave Rivendell, for neither the ring nor the ring-bearer would pass safely beyond the bounds of the Trollshaws.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Question about basically upping the riding speed beyond the current limit for mounts. In general, I think that it's about as fast as we intend for it to go. But theoretically, maybe in the future. But yeah, probably not too likely. So, Druid's Fire, help me out here. Which is better? Shak's Doom, which just gives me a slight common damage increase, basically. One more might point. A decent critical rating.
Well, you're a minstrel, so you don't want anything with might anyway.
Yeah. Or the brilliant Edelharn tokens. Those are consumable, but...
Tokens are always handy, because in cases like, if you'd gone to the back of that place where we were just fighting, you would have gotten a dread effect on you. The token would have been very handy then.
Yeah. Alright, I'll get that then. Oh, except I'm out of space. Great. Alright.
I'm sorry, I sent you too much stuff in the mail.
You did.
Will you lend me your ear?
We just gotta get you to level 40 so you can use it all.
Right, I actually need to... I assume there's a, account bank in Rivendell here somewhere?
Yes, there is. It's in Elrond's house.
Alright. So, ultimately you get to a scenario, and you can see this sometimes if you've seen me do the fast run speed on an admin, the kind of, dun, 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 the super fast run speed. You actually get into a scenario where you run faster than the land block will render, and so you have to be kind of careful about how fast the mounts go. And my understanding is we're at about that limit in terms of the mount run speed for general client use, but perhaps we could up it a little bit more. I can't imagine us ever doing eagle mounts. The eagles don't really go for that, unless it's their choice.
If you want Corey to have a rant on his show, that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, probably. I'd imagine so.
So I think his current target is that other Lord of the Rings game that is not a Lord of the Rings game, but might as well. It uses the name. Inside the house here.
I cannot comment on my former employer's game.
Oh, but I can.
Yeah. But yes, I know exactly of what you speak.
I do have to say, I love when the team actually added the vendor options to the vault keepers. That was like the best thing ever.
Nice. All right, let me see what can I bring over here. Put your musical instruments in the. Oh, I should probably open up a chest 10 and I'll put them in there. There we go. I'm actually pretty close to level 40, but not quite there yet. Okay, that can be sold. That can be sold. I also need to take all my cosmetics from the pre-purchase or from Mordor, and what is it? So just to help me and help the stream here, once I've equipped it on a cosmetic slot, I can theoretically ditch the stuff, right?
No. Click the clothes hanger in the upper left-hand corner of your UI. In the window of the vault.
Clothes hanger? I don't see a clothes hanger. Oh, I see a clothes hanger. Okay. Oh, wardrobe. Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, if you put something in your wardrobe, you can use it on any alt on this server, regardless of class, heavy, light armor, whatever. The only thing it won't let you do is you can't, for example, and I'm going to use terms from other games, you can't mog, for example, a two-handed sword onto a one-handed sword. You can't mog, like, an axe onto a sword. But any of the armor pieces, it doesn't matter what your class is or your armor type is. You can use whatever you like.
But once it's in the wardrobe, but it doesn't remove from my inventory, though, so then I can trash it from the inventory?
No. Yes, that's exactly right. Once it's in your wardrobe, you can throw the actual item away if you don't need it. You just can't mog certain things, like you can't mog instruments. There's just some limitations on it. And it's kind of sad because I want to be able to dual-wield frying pans, but I can't.
Alright, I see what you're saying. Huh. It's tough to convince myself to just trash Mordor cosmetics from my inventory.
Well, once you put them in the wardrobe, you can do that. Now, one fun thing is you can dye cosmetics. So once you get some dyes from a scholar, you can, once the main piece is in your wardrobe, when you dye it, it'll automatically add that dye to the drop-down box at the bottom where you can pick what color you pull and then when you want to actually equip something on your character's cosmetic slot, you can then drag and drop that from the wardrobe. It's very handy.
Alright, I'm just looking to find a basic vendor here as well. Any idea where I can find one of those?
The banker is a vendor. Get back here.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what I was talking about, adding the vendor options to bankers.
Oh. Sorry to keep nagging, Vicordius says, but do you not agree that PvMP is difficult to balance? If hunters and runekeepers do so much more damage than some other classes, what is the standard you balance against? The standard we balance against is to try to make things as even as we can. And you're right that you're always going to be in a situation where it would be nice if we just had a flat line and every single thing always we just move it down to the line. Boom, everything's done. But the more complexity you add to a game, the more likely you are going to end up with sort of a power cloud, as it were, you know. And so our goal, so to speak, is to get everyone to the best of our ability within a general range of each other. And, you know, that's clearly not the easiest thing to do. it's an ongoing thing that we continue to work on and will always work on for the remainder of the game's life. The other thing we tend to find is that as soon as we do find some sense of balance, people find outliers again, and that's just sort of how it all goes. So, but yes, so I guess that doesn't really answer your question, but in terms of if you're basically saying we need to nerf hunters and rune keepers because they're OP compared to other classes, and that has a side effect of making PvMP difficult to balance. Yeah, to some extent you're probably right. Although I think some hunters and rune keepers might disagree with your assessment. But ultimately it is, as you say, not always the easiest thing to balance both PvE and PvMP at the same time. Thurlord, does SSG recognize the force multiplier effect of enabling players to do creative things in the game like music, the plugins, RP-supported features, and many other sandbox features that could exist, i.e. if players entertain each other rather than always relying on a few devs to create content that people run through in a matter of days? If so, then why are these always given such low priority? Do we need to whine more and become squeakier? I would disagree that we consider that stuff a low priority. Frankly, we've seen a lot of work over the years regarding supporting those features. I mean, we just saw some work on the music system, and just this past week on the plugin system. I mean, we consider it a pretty important part of Lotro's gameplay. Gepeo, no ETA on the 64-bit clients. How is the producer's letter coming along? I would like to say that it's coming along, but the reality is we have not even had time to take a look at it. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but it's true. I'm just being honest with you. We have had zero work on the producer's letter this week.
Helen, very well, apparently.
Yeah. There's also a guy to the right that can do repair. Good.
Greetings to you.
Oh, let's buy. Is it the escrow broker?
Well, the banker can also repair on the right tab.
It's not showing me an option to repair. I only see buy, sell, and buyback.
Yeah, bankers. That's right. Bankers can't repair because they want to take your money, not give fix stuff.
The consumable trader's an old UI, so that's not working. Okay.
The healer can repair. Funny.
How do I manage to play with this many questions? Not very well.
And how would I the opposite. I actually paid you a compliment.
And how would I play if I wasn't answering these questions? Not very well. No, I'm kidding. But it's true. Will there be incomparable items with increased item levels to the current ones added to loot boxes with the raid update? I do think that we will see some additional itemization with the raid, but it's too early to say anything about what form that is going to take. Any chance getting the new loot box cosmetic weapons account bound? Sorry, no. Any plans in the future to make the Bjorning a more desirable class to purchase and play? We do have, as part of our long-term class balance work, we have a recognition that we need to do Bjorning work on there as well. Alright, let me move over to YouTube here. It would be nice to have an alternate version of Mortar Alliance armor with gold plating instead of silver. That would be pretty cool. Why Cord don't know how to play this game? Because I haven't played it as much. What would I say my favorite region in the game so far is? I actually like where we are right now. I think Rivendell is very pretty. I enjoy the troll shaws because I think fighting the trolls has been a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm pretty open-ended on that sort of thing. It's all good. Elrond's library is up the steps here and then up the side ramp, right? Yeah, here we go. Alright. Yo, G, the Nazgul will never cross the Breenan while it remains in my command. I am glad to hear your news, Twinstrel, and do not grieve overmuch for the loss of the Nazgul. His fell designs with the wood trolls were ended by your brave actions and the skills of Legolas. Yes, your encounter with the Nazgul has revealed to me what I must do. I will speak with Gandalf, for the errand of which you heard whispers has become all the more urgent because of the news you bring. For you, though, I would ask you keep your attention focused on the Nazgul.
Will you lend me your aid once more?
I'm just picking up that quest. I'll be right back.
Cool. Well, I've only got about 5 minutes here, so I'm probably just going to putz around a little bit.
When don't you
Travel to the Misty Mountains. There you will seek the aid of Gloin, who has established a camp at the end of the pass out of Rivendell that leads to the Misty Mountains. Go now, for not only the safety of Rivendell is at stake, all of Middle-earth depends upon your actions. By the way, this actually brings it up. A lot of people probably know this, but if you use, this is like formal licensor word usage. It's Middle-earth, and earth is not capitalized. I see that a lot on social media and stuff, where people are capitalizing the earth of Middle-earth, but technically you are wrong if you do that. Just saying. I hear what you're saying, Joego. I should focus on learning about classes, systems, that sort of thing, besides just content. My plan is to do that as well. I need to do all of it, frankly. But I'm starting with the content. Any plans you'll ever see a new instrument added? Theoretically. We might well do that someday.
Spoons. Can we add spoons to the game as an instrument?
Spoons.
Yeah, spoons.
Kazoo.
Kazoo. I would be an expert at kazoo.
Yeah. Hey, Bloodborne, and also I know Gussie's heading too. All you fine folks heading to TwitchCon, best of luck, have fun, wish I was there. It'll be cool. Okay. Why choose a minstrel? Just because I wanted to. No big reason. I thought the idea of playing drums and flute and stuff was pretty rad. My last class I'd played was a hunter, so I sort of deliberately did not want to play another hunter again. Can I confirm there will be a 64-bit client coming out to fix the lag? I can confirm that we are working on a 64-bit client. It is our intention to release a 64-bit client. So far we have no reason to think we will not be able to do it. We have no ETA on it, and in terms of fix the lag, we do think it'll lead to a game improvement. It's a very broad term to just say fix the lag. I think, frankly, there will always be some latency in an online video game unless we truly move to a different internet backbone. But it should make a difference. It will not fix all the things, but it'll fix some things. PvMP questions. My favorite. No, I'm sorry, I'm being snarky. I like, serious question, do you think we are a bit too late regarding PvMP? We do it when we can. I appreciate that some folks have, you know, want it done sooner. But we do it when we can. But yes, to the extent you were saying, well, fix it and make it better than it already is. Yes, that is absolutely the hope and intention of having this client. 64-bit. Hey, what's up here? What is up here?
You'll need
Not
to come back
much.
down here if you want to go to the Misty Mountains.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking to see what's up here.
Elrond's greatest treasure.
Oh. Can you push her off the cliff? I'm kidding.
Nah.
Is a mayonnaise jar an instrument? It can be. For sure. Water glasses would not make for a very good travel instrument. You'd have to get the water out, place them there, and then, you know, be a little bit too much work. Wardens are outsiders nowadays. I'm asking you, Tenacious says over on YouTube, to work on wardens. They need to fulfill their basic role and replace the main take as it used to be, solo, taunt, and more survivability. Appreciate the feedback on that. Yeah, I think wardens are, you know, maybe not in quite as rough a state as some other classes in terms of the pressing need for balance work, but that sounds like pretty good feedback there. Will we see a patch for the current Mordor instances before the raid goes live? Good question. I don't have a good answer for you at this point. It's possible, but it's also possible it'll be 21.3. Cool. Gloin's camp. This will probably be a pretty good place to wrap things up for the show. And I can pick up from here next time. Let me just get a couple of quick more questions down if I can. How many Lotro points will Mordor and the High Elf cost in the Lotro store? That is in the Mordor FAQ. So if you go to Lotro.com and find the Mordor FAQ, all that information down to the Lotro point is listed there. Do we have a launch date for Mordor in the store? Not yet. Legally, we've said update 22. Might be a bit before, though. Need a fancy dwarven war horn. I like that idea. We released the instances in a horrible state, and now we will not fix it until several months. Wow. We have some bugs. I know that some people are frustrated that they're not breezing through it on T2C. But we do have people completing it as well. So... add PvP to the whole world? No. I don't think that would be a popular choice. Sorry, I can't pass any hints about our next thing. Alright, what else can I answer here? When will the visual updates of the Hobbits take place? We don't yet have an ETA. I do know that... let me think. Pretty sure that it's next. We're doing another 2 next, and I think Hobbit is one of them. But in terms of what timeline that's going to be, we just aren't yet ready to say. Alright. That's going to do it. Sorry if I didn't answer the questions to your satisfaction. I do my best here. And please give us feedback as well on the forums and such, and we do take a look at all that sort of thing. I will note that we do have the festival continuing to go. Let me real quick, before I wrap up, take a look at our calendar, make sure that there's nothing I need to pass along there. Alright, as a matter of fact, as of, well, I guess it was, what, 10 a.m. today, so about a couple hours ago, we do have a VIP event boost that's going on through Monday, being shut off 3 a.m., I believe, on Tuesday, October 24th. And then the Fall Festival itself continues as well. And, oh, I could also mention this. I brought this to social media yesterday, but we are extending the Fall Festival. That is now going through November 5th, being shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on November 6th. And that just really is a way to say thank you, and because of the downtime and all that sort of thing that we've had recently, we wanted to extend the Fall Festival by another few days, but that also gives you another weekend for it, so that works out pretty well there. So we're extending the Fall Festival as well. Alright, thank you very much for watching Court of the Rings. I'm here every Thursday at noon Eastern on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. If you give us a like on Facebook, you'll get all of our social media stuff there, along with our Facebook Live videos. On YouTube, if you subscribe, we'll show up in your subscription feed. And if you follow us on Twitch, you'll be notified from when we go live with shows just like this one. We have got a super busy calendar with a lot of shows on it and a lot of great streamers. So we'd really appreciate it if you'd support all the fine streamers on Lotro Stream. I will see you next week. Thanks very much for watching. Have fun.